Picture this for a moment. You wake up one morning and realize that the US dollar, the world's most powerful currency, the backbone of global trade, the reason America has been able to spend freely for decades, doesn't feel so untouchable anymore. No dramatic crash, no flashing headlines screaming collapse, just a quiet shift beneath the surface. Right now, in late 2025, something big is unfolding, not through bombs or battles, but through trade agreements, alternative payment systems, and gold quietly piling up in vaults from Beijing to Moscow. It's subtle, calculated, and very real. A group of 12 countries has already made a decisive move. They are trading oil, gas, food, and raw materials without using the US dollar at all. Not a single greenback involved. And this isn't internet speculation or conspiracy talk, it's documented in official summits, central bank data, and billions of dollars worth of shifted reserves. So how did we get here? Is the dollar actually losing its grip, or is this just exaggerated hype? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the long chain of causes and effects that brought us to this moment, and why many believe we're reaching a critical turning point. This is the Silent Dollar War. Section 1. Setting the stage. How the dollar became king. To understand today's shift, we need to rewind history. America's financial dominance didn't happen by accident. It's 1944. World War II is still raging. World leaders gather in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Most major economies are devastated by war, but the United States stands strong, factories running, gold reserves overflowing. Out of this meeting comes a new global system. The US dollar becomes the world's reserve currency, backed by gold, while other currencies are tied to the dollar. For decades, this setup works beautifully for America. Then comes 1971. Inflation is rising, the Vietnam War is draining money, and foreign governments are demanding gold in exchange for their dollars. US gold reserves start bleeding out. President Richard Nixon makes a historic move. He ends the dollar's convertibility to gold. Overnight, the dollar becomes fiat money, backed not by metal but by trust. That could have been the end. But instead, America pulls off a masterstroke in the early 1970s. After the OPEC oil shock, the US strikes a deal with Saudi Arabia. Oil will be sold in US dollars, and in return, America will provide military protection and political backing. Soon, the entire OPEC cartel follows. The petrodollar is born. Now, every country on earth needs dollars to buy energy. Those dollars flow back into US banks and treasury bonds, funding American deficits. The French call it exorbitant privilege. America can print money, and the world absorbs it. Through the 1980s and 1990s, the system thrives. The dollar dominates global trade and reserves. The US runs massive deficits, but demand for dollars never fades. Figures like Henry Kissinger and Paul Volcker play key roles in maintaining confidence, but cracks begin to appear. The 2008 financial crisis made in America spreads pain worldwide. Then sanctions become routine. Eden, Venezuela, Russia. The dollar isn't just money anymore, it's a weapon. And that realization plants a dangerous seed of doubt. What happens when powerful countries decide they no longer want to live under that threat? Section 2. The rise of an alternative. In 2001, a Goldman Sachs economist coins the term BRIC. Brazil, Russia, India, and China countries expected to reshape the global economy. By 2009, they formalized their cooperation. South Africa joins in 2010, and BRICS is born. At first, it's mostly talk, complaints about Western dominance in the IMF and World Bank, calls for reform. But beneath the speeches, something practical is forming. These countries are uncomfortable with dollar dependence. They start small. China and Russia conduct bilateral trade using yuan and rubles. India pays for Russian oil in rupees. Brazil and China sign currency swap agreements. After 2014, everything accelerates. Russia's annexation of Crimea triggers sanctions. Access to SWIFT is restricted. Moscow learns the hard way that dollar-based systems can be turned off overnight. China watches closely. Its Belt and Road investments span dozens of countries, but all of them are vulnerable to dollar pressure. India hedges. Brazil seeks independence. South Africa pushes a stronger global South voice. Then comes 2022. Russia's invasion of Ukraine leads to unprecedented sanctions. Roughly $300 billion in Russian reserves are frozen. That moment sends shockwaves across the world. Central banks everywhere ask the same question. If it can happen to Russia, why not us? By 2023 and 2024, BRICS expands. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE join. Saudi Arabia flirts with membership. New payment infrastructures discussed openly at the 2024 Cousin Summit. Russia hosts talks on BRICS payer system linking national payment networks like China's SIPs, India's UPI, Brazil's PIX, and Russia's SPFs. The goal is clear: trade without SWIFT, without dollars. By 2025, pilots are live. Russia claims nearly 90% of its trade with BRICS partners now happens in local currencies. But here's where the title becomes real. The Commonwealth of Independent States, roughly 12 countries, quietly completes a major shift. By 2024 to 2025, around 85% of cross-border settlements inside this bloc are done without the dollar. That's not symbolism, that's structural change. Section 3. The tipping point. The real breaking point comes between 2022 and 2025 because the weaponization of the dollar. When Russian reserves are frozen, trust collapses. Countries realize reserves aren't truly sovereign if they can be seized with a political decision. Effect: a global rush to gold. Central banks buy more than 1,000 tons annually. China, India, and even European countries like Poland load up. Gold becomes the neutral hedge. At the same time, BRICS pay moves from theory to reality. Local currency trade surges. Oil sales begin appearing in yuan. The petrodollar, while not dead, starts to wobble. By mid-2025, the dollar's share of global reserves falls to roughly 57%, the lowest level in decades. The U.S. responds with threats. Donald Trump, back in office, warns of massive tariffs against countries abandoning the dollar. The result: puts back. Leaders like Brazil's Lula openly reject the pressure. Instead of stopping the trend, it hardens it. Section 4. Fallout and consequences. This shift doesn't mean instant collapse, but it does have consequences. US borrowing becomes more expensive as foreign demand for treasuries weakens. Inflationary pressure rises. Global trade becomes more fragmented. Winners emerge. Gold prices climb. The Chinese yuan gains influence. Slowly but steadily. Losers emerge too. Dollar-dependent economies feel stress as the system changes. Still, the dollar remains dominant in foreign exchange trading and trade invoicing. This is not a crash, it's a long, gradual erosion. History offers a parallel. Britain's pound didn't collapse overnight after World War II, it faded. Section 5. Attempts to stop the decline. America has few easy fixes. Raising interest rates Volcker style isn't realistic with today's debt levels. Sanctions and tariffs only accelerate alternatives. Fiscal discipline remains elusive. BRICS itself moves cautiously. Talk of a shared currency fades. Local currencies are imperfect and inefficient, but momentum matters, and momentum is building. Section 6. The bigger picture. The data is clear. Dollar reserves are falling. Gold is rising. Energy trade is diversifying. In the 1970s, the petrodollar saved the dollar. Today, that system is slowly loosening. Sanctions overuse mirrors historical mistakes made by declining empires. Add in electric vehicles reducing oil demand, and the foundation weakens further. The silent war continues. Closing. Final takeaways. 3 conclusions stand out. First, de-dollarization is real and accelerating, driven by geopolitical fear. Second, this is a gradual shift, not an overnight collapse. Third, trust once lost is incredibly difficult to rebuild. The question isn't whether the world becomes multipolar, it's how stable that transition will be. What do you think? Is the dollar truly in decline, or is this narrative overblown? Share your thoughts, like the video if this changed your perspective, and subscribe for more deep dives into geopolitics and global finance. Stay informed, stay curious.